Truth wears no mask, seeks neither place nor applause, bows to no human shrine. She only asks a hearing. A very pleasant good day to you wherever you may be, and welcome to the University of Common Sense. My name is Tim Morrow, and our subject, we're going to be talking about what we love so much, processed food. Yep, that means cheese, ladies. If that's what you're thinking it means, that's exactly what it means. What it does to us. Processed food is probably the worst of all the things that happen to us. And for crying out loud, don't let the word process slip over your head. Process means something has been done. There has been a process done. And that process means the life has been removed from the food. Now, the original intent was not to remove the life from the food so that it would make us sick. The original intent was living food spoils quickly. That represents a monetary loss. And when there's a monetary loss, they're going to find some way in America to get that money back. So processed food means all the life has been removed from the food, and you are now eating the residue of the food. Because the food spoils, you take out what part spoils, you throw that away, and you eat the residue. However, that's not what we're designed to do. Actually, what we're designed to do is we're supposed to eat the life of the food. The body only accepts the life of the food. That's the essence of the food. It cannot use any other part of the food. In other words, when you eat an apple, the bulk of that apple goes into the system and is eliminated via the colon. The essence is what you want from it. You want the life from it. The life from the food is what made us grow from a tiny baby to a full-grown adult. It is the essence of the food, the life that's found in the food. However, in America, we don't eat that. It becomes an absolute enemy to us, because processed food means it's not clean burning fuel. The difference between processed food and living food is the difference between natural gas and coal. Coal leaves a severe residue on everything that it touches. Number one is it leaves a smoke that goes up into the air, and the smoke, when it falls, pollutes everything around it. But it also leaves an ash where it's burned. It leaves a severe ash. And that ash is not clean burning. So now you have that ash to try and get rid of. That's exactly what happens with us. When we eat living food, when we eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, lentils, beans, melons, legumes, and so forth and so on, those are clean burning fuels. They leave no residue behind. They're the natural gas that I was talking about. They leave no residue behind. But when you go to the white rice, white sugar, pastas, pizzas, meat, spaghetti, macaroni, cheese, it leaves severe residue. In fact, so bad is the residue that the residue starts and shows up. The first place it shows up is on our teeth. That's the first place it shows up. Maybe you'll want to try something. Brush your teeth real good. Make them real good, nice and shiny and squeaky clean. And then eat yourself a piece of white bread. Just one slice of white bread. Chew it up real good and swallow it. Then run your tongue over your teeth. You can feel the film on your teeth. Go back, brush the teeth again real good. Make them squeaky clean again. grab yourself a nice, raw, delicious red apple and eat that. When you're finished eating it, run your tongue over your teeth and you will find that your teeth are cleaner than before you ate it. Why? That's the reason why an apple is called nature's toothbrush. It cleans the teeth. Did you know it's not natural to brush your teeth? Not natural at all to brush your teeth. In fact, brushing the teeth is a sign that what you're eating is absolutely bad for you. So cows don't brush their teeth. Horses don't brush their teeth. And if a horse or a cow needs to brush its teeth, it's because of what man has done to its food. But the cow and the horse would never eat anything other than what nature provides for them. And so they don't have to have a dentist. They don't have to have a doctor. They don't have to have any of that. They live in a natural, if they live in a natural outdoors type of life, you never have that problem. We do. And the reason is because we strip all the life from the food, and then we expect it to do the same thing for us that it did for the horse or the cow, and it can't be done. Why? Because the cow and the horse ate the grain in the form that God gave it. It went out in the field, it ate it, and it made the coat beautiful, the breath beautiful, and it made them strong and healthy. We went out in the same field that the cow and the horse ate. We cut down the wheat or the rye or the barley or whatever it was. We cut it down, took it to the mill, bleached it, dyed it, embalmed it, and then buried it in our belly. And we expect the same results. Cannot happen, will not happen. And what happens to us is it literally makes us very ill, to the degree that the mucus builds up at such alarming rates in our bodies that at the end of our lives, the mucus literally drowns us. We drown in our own mucus. Remember that little thin layer that I was telling you about that shows up on your teeth? Remember, you have to go to the dentist every year or so and have him to scrape it off with a steel piece. Remember that? Well, don't forget, you swallowed that food. And the same thing it did to your teeth, it did to the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestines. And now, you imagine 40 years of that little thin layer, that little tiny thin layer. Imagine that thin layer becomes that thick, only that thick, all over the body. All over the body. Because what happens is every organ gets trapped in that mucus. And that mucus is thick and hard. It gets harder the longer it stays in us. But we also do something else to help it along. When we really get sick, we decide we're going to take a drug. This drug is going to make us well. Well, instead of the drug making us well, what it actually does is it makes us sicker. And the drug is designed to dry up this mucus. And now what happens is the mucus is dried by the drug, and we're continuing to do the same thing. So when it's dried up, we put another layer over the top of it. Another layer of this mucus over the top of it. Well, one of the side effects of penicillin is that it dries everything up. It makes everything dry in the body. Penicillin is probably the most dangerous of all the things we do because penicillin is in liquid form. And that means it reaches every part of the body in little or no time. In fact, our blood circulates around the body, 9 times a minute. If trapped in there is the penicillin that you used, that was given to you, trapped in there is that it's going to reach every part of the body, top of the head to the bottom of the foot. Why? Because it got into the bloodstream. The same thing is true of all of the drugs we take, the NyQuil, the Bayer, the Tylenol, dries up everything that it touches. And remember how the sinus stuff works? All of a sudden you're so dry up in here. When you take it, well, it dried the mucus up. It dried it up in the control center. This is the control center. The head is the control center. When you dry waste up in there, you are playing Russian roulette with 5 bullets in the chamber. So the processed food becomes the worst enemy that we have. It becomes the worst enemy to have, because everything after that, we're acting on it because of the processed food. When you say to people that white rice, white sugar, pastas, pizzas, meat, spaghetti, macaroni, cheese is processed food, they go, oh, what are we going to eat? Fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, lentils, beans, melons, legumes, just to mention a few. But in mentioning those few things, we're talking about over 3,000 different foods to eat, as diversified from each other as night is from day. I mean, just think of the melons and how different they taste, even though they're all melons. Look at the different vegetables, and I mean the amount of vegetables are absolutely endless. And every one of them, eaten in a natural state, can never leave a residue of any kind. Why? Because it's clean burning fuel. Even raw nuts and things like that is clean burning fuel. You know where we get this thing from that nuts are bad for you? Is that we eat cooked nuts. And that is bad for you. But the raw nuts, all the animals eat it for their protein. You know, we go to eat this animal because we need protein. However, the animal that we eat eats no other animal, so where does that animal get its protein from? See, if you use common sense, you'll realize that we, human beings, are as smart as a horse or a cow. A horse or a cow goes out and eats the natural grass, and they'll eat all the things you eat. They'll eat the corn, the cabbage, Brussels sprouts. They'll eat all the things that we eat. And therein is all the protein that you can ever use in your lifetime. Plus, it's protein that can be digested. Most protein, as we call it, can't even be digested. So it's a matter of using good old common sense and understanding what protein is about. We've gone through a protein scare in this country today that keeps people rich, but keeps the user sick. The protein that is the best in the world is found in the greenery of. Well, that's the reason why the cow and the horse and all the grazing animals, that's the reason why they use it. Notice that they're all huge animals. The vegetarians are huge animals, and during their lifetime eat no meat. And they live a long time, and they die a natural death. They don't die sick. We Americans especially, you ever notice we all die sick, and we die from something? And the other thing is we all die under the care of a doctor. I often wondered if the doctor dies under the care of a doctor. But it should tell us something. See, the doctor has got his problems too. The doctor's hair is falling out too. And he got a hearing aid and eyeglasses. He's 100 pounds overweight, and when you get close to the guy, he doesn't smell good. Not the kind of guy that you want to take care of you. Not to put your life into his hands. So it's something that we have to look at. We have to look at who is responsible for us. And what is it that we're doing to ourselves? Why is America sick? Here is a country that has less than 1/6 of the world's population and almost 1/2 of the world's wealth, and we're the sickest nation on earth. What's going on? What's going on? Why are we so sick? We should be flourishing with health. We got the most money. We talk about money and education, how these are the keys. Well, we got the most money in the world, and we're the most educated people in the world. In fact, we're so educated, we don't know what to do with ourselves. Doctors are so intelligent that they talk down to their patients. They're saying, I am so intelligent, and you are so stupid. You should just listen to what I say and do blind discipline what I tell you to do. They're intimidated when you ask them a question. They have reason to be intimidated because they don't know the answer. He too is suffering from all the same thing that we're suffering from. He has become an uninformed victim just like you and me. But we're a lot better off than the doctor is, because the doctor went to school for his education that turned into a brainwashing. He truly believes what he says, and that's what makes him even more dangerous, is that he believes in what he's doing. They did a survey in New Jersey. They wanted to know from doctors the drugs that they gave to their patients. Did they actually feel as though it helped them? When the survey was in, the survey said 100% of the doctors thought that the drug actually made their patients better. So they asked the question of the person that was taking the medication. The patient came back, their answer. 60% of the people that were taking the drug thought that the drug did them some good. And now they ask the spouse of the person that was taking the drug, what was their opinion of their spouse? Came back the answer. 98% of the people, of the spouses, thought that their mate was worse off for taking the drug. Now, see, in that group, there's only one objective person in it, and that's the person that was standing outside looking in. But the doctor and the patient, they not pretty closely agreed. They weren't close, but at least it was in a majority. But that person that was standing out looking at their mate take the drug knew that they were in worse shape. Let me tell you something. If you have eczema or psoriasis or anything like that, there is nothing that a drug can do to help you get well. It just simply cannot help you get well. It will help you get sicker. It will dry the mucus up that's causing the eczema and psoriasis. Eczema and psoriasis is nothing more than the mucus actually coming through the skin, because the skin is the largest channel of elimination that we have. If it can't get out through the vaginal tract, it can't get out through the lungs, it can't get out through the colon, it's going to come through the skin. That's what's happening with eczema and psoriasis. And you can do all of the things that you want to do to try and get rid of it. Nothing will get rid of it except getting rid of the mucus that's causing it. That means you have to melt the mucus and make the mucus come out. There are herbs on earth that its only job is to soften that mucus so that the mucus can come out of the system. Mullein happens to be one of them, spelled M-U-L-L-E-I-N. That just, there's literally hundreds of them. But mullein is one of the most common and one of the best ones to use. And so if you have eczema or psoriasis or dandruff or athlete's foot, all of those are the same thing. They're all exactly the same thing. I don't mean that they're close. I mean they're exactly the same thing. That is remember I talked about that buildup of mucus that happens when you eat processed food? Well, what's happening is that is now trying to get out of one of those places, and it'll try to get out through the weakest part of the body. If it happens to be the feet, doctors name it athlete's foot. If it's the skin, because the skin is so large, they have two names. eczema or psoriasis. If it comes out through the scalp, they call it dandruff. If it comes out through the face, they call it acne. If it doesn't come out of the body, but affects some organ in the body, the old catch-all is cancer. And since nobody but a doctor knows what cancer is, you can't prove it one way or the other. And for those of you who think that doctors have so much integrity that they wouldn't lie to you, let me remind you that the first thing the doctor is not a doctor, but a businessman. It costs a lot of money to go to school. And the way he's going to recapture it, you and me, that's why we're the ones that's going to pay. Whether you pay it through an HMO or you pay it out of your pocket, he is looking to the general public to take care of him. Why? Because he spent a lot of money. For the women, you are the ones that the doctor depends upon, but he depends deeply upon your ignorance. Deeply. That's the reason why they work with two things: your ignorance and fear. That's their two tactics. Without those two things, they have nothing going for them. But fear, when you're fearful, you never make a right decision, and nobody knows that better than the doctor. That's the reason why wake-up time comes with us individually. You and me, we're the ones that have to come up with taking responsibility for ourselves. If you go in the supermarket and it's in a package, it's in a nice package, and it didn't grow in that package, you shouldn't buy it. The only place that they have living food in a supermarket is in the produce department. It's the produce. That's the only place where there's living food. The reason why we have to eat is so that we, the body, can extract the life. That life is then fed to the bloodstream. We run off of our bloodstream. Just like your car runs off of its gas, we run off of our bloodstream. If we have contaminated blood, we're going to get contaminated results. And that means each of us have to wake up and realize what poison is. All medicines are poison. And used to have to put it on the container. Used to have to be on there. Used to be on there with a skull and crossbones, and written under it was the word poison. But through legislation and stuff like that, the pharmaceutical industry is so big and make the trillions of dollars that they make. They buy presidents, congressmen, senators, representatives. They buy everybody. Everybody gets a little piece of the action, and they've had that removed from every package, even though the drug is just as poison today as it ever was. It may be even more poison because there's more ways to hide it now. But the end result is we are the one that's going to get the blunt end of the stick. And remember, the drug is a processed food also. You can't continue to eat the way Americans eat and expect to be healthy. You have to eat what comes from the earth. The produce department of the supermarket. That's where everything is in the produce department of the supermarket. Ladies, let me tell you something. When you teach a man, you teach a man. When you teach a woman, you teach the household, the community, the world. So it's women that have to learn these facts. If the females don't learn, all we can look forward to is another generation of this inexcusable ignorance. Somewhere along the line, we are going to perish or wise up, because if we don't wise up, we're getting weaker. We're having now diseases that we cannot control, that penicillin or any of the antibiotics can't even touch, but it never did. In fact, It's what's brought us to our proverbial knees right now, is what drugs have done to us. More people have died from drug taking than all other causes combined. That's right, folks. More people have died from drug taking than all other causes combined. It means this wake-up time. It's wake-up time. America, awaken. Not only is it simple and easy to be well, it's fun. It's real fun to take care of yourself. Today, at 66 years old, I'm in better health than I've ever been in my life, which blows the theory that growing old and growing sick are synonymous. That just simply isn't true. Today, I'm in better health than I've ever been. I'm back to where I was when I was 7 years old. Hated to go to bed at night. Couldn't wait to get up the next morning. Life full to the brim. Hardly any place to put anything else in my life. But it's because I learned. I was sick out of my ignorance, but I'm well out of my knowledge. Folks, it's wake-up time in America. It's either time for us to wake up or get on back to some serious sleeping. And remember that growing old does not make us sick. It is growing sick that makes us old. For the University of Common Sense, I'm Tim Morrow. And you'll see us next time.